Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Met Past Hinata, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. How have you been lately? Naruto shrugged and slurped a noodle. Hinata smiled into her water and tried not to stare at the boy next to her. She felt somewhat comfortable. Ever since they'd spent that month poring over her destroyed garden, Hinata could safely say she could actually speak to Naruto Uzumaki without stuttering. Well, mostly. How is Sasuke-san? Hinata watched her finger collecting droplets of water from her glass as Naruto finished another mouthful of ramen. Sakura had asked her to talk to him, as a favor. Apparently Hinata had a decent ability to get Naruto to talk about things. Well, not things, but his feelings. The real ones at least. Even more apparent was that Naruto was quite the master of disguises most days. Bastard, as usual. Naruto breathed, leaning his elbows on the table. Hinata felt her heart leap a little in her chest as he peered up at her from between his arms. He won't talk. They've still got him incarcerated. Have you spoken? Hinata probed, delicately treading on unfamiliar ground. Naruto looked back down at the wood of the counter. I don't know what to say to him. Nothing I say will make him do anything. That's not true, Naruto. Hinata whispered, your words mean a lot to many people. The young man chuckled, but Hinata caught the slight tension in his smile. I don't want to talk about Sasuke. Maybe next time, N.E. He drawled, stretching his arms before turning on his stool and jumping down to the dusty road. Hinata shook her head and stared at her glass while Naruto dealt out the money, throwing it on the table. Gomen Sakura-san. She murmured, counting the money mentally, making sure Naruto was tipping properly. When she was satisfied, she finally slid down and Naruto grinned. Coming or not? He asked as she walked carefully towards him. Of course. Her voice was always so soft. You had to really listen to hear her sometimes. Naruto liked that. That you had to devote your attention to her, to hear everything she wanted to have you hear. Sakura yelled a lot, whined a lot, emoted a lot. Hinata, well, typically she wasn't like that. It was strange. Sakura had been gone in the refugee camps outside of San for months, helping Gaara and the rest with the incoming stream of stranded individuals. And then Sasuke. He just walked in. Like he freaking owned the place. Naruto's face darkened as he walked beside Hinata, hands caught behind his head, both of them weaving through the nighttime crowds and shops and stalls. Still, he hadn't been completely alone. Naruto stole a glance at the girl walking near him. Her long indigo hair was caught behind her head in a rare ponytail, the front still hanging in her face as it always did, bangs neatly trimmed, clothes immaculate as usual. Her pale hands were folded in front of her and for a fleeting moment she smiled as two boys ran, shouting past them. How long had it been since that summer day he destroyed her garden? 6 months. How many hours had she been on his mind? Too many for Naruto to count. It seemed no matter what he did, it all boiled back down to him, and her. Sakura had left. Sasuke had come back. Kakashi came and went as he pleased. But Hinata was a constant. Naruto smiled to himself and kept walking. He liked that about her. Do you know Fujiwara Yume? Hinata looked up suddenly as Naruto asked the question, now shoving his hands into his pockets. No, she replied, slightly bewildered at the spontaneity of the question. Naruto chewed on his toothpick from the ramen stand and looked at her. I went on a date with her last week. A foxy grin erupted across his face and Hinata kept her face surprisingly neutral. Did it go well? Can you define well? Naruto said, deflating slightly. If you had asked him why, he wouldn't have been able to answer. Perhaps it was because Yume had just wanted to suck up to the future Hokage, or maybe, perhaps, it was because she didn't seem bothered. As usual, everything he did with other girls, she only gave a neutral, well-thought answer. She gave good advice, told him what she thought, even told him what was wrong a few times, but whenever it came to girls she just seemed to go on autopilot. She laughed, musical and lilting, A sound he was getting really used to, a sound he was starting to miss when she wasn't around. It had taken a lot to figure out Hinata's formula for laughing, for smiling, for blushing, but as months and days and really long conversations of nothing but him talking wore on, Naruto had started getting it right more and more often. And she always knew how he ticked, always. She never missed a detail, always knew the answer before he asked. Knew the question too. Naruto smiled at her. Well, did you like her? She continued, still walking near him. Neither acknowledged the hushed whispers behind hands as they strolled, her hands still folded, his in his pockets. Nah, Naruto said seriously, I don't like any of them really. He glanced at her and she caught his eye. What about you? His voice was a bit lower than usual, and he cleared his tea as she stared at him before looking back at the ground. No one really asks about me, she said surely, a shy smile on her face. He kicked a rock. I don't usually make myself noticeable, though. But I thought you were still training, for your dad and stuff. Isn't that your goal? She laughed again. Oh number. I want to be strong, but that doesn't mean I want to be in the limelight. Her face shined under the streetlights as she looked at Naruto, that quiet happiness still lingering in her eyes. Oh, Naruto said, staring at the pearly glow she gave off. They stopped walking, having come up to the front of the Hyuga compound, the smell of the river still hanging in the air. Fireflies flickered sleepily, still shaking off winter as Konoha's early spring set in, and above the moon shone high and round in her cloudy cradle. Are you going to be here the rest of the week? Naruto called out as she walked towards her home, stopping briefly to turn over her shoulder. Hi. Naruto smiled. Good. Can I see you tomorrow? She nodded. Same time as usual. He laughed and kicked the dirt. All right. He turned and waved as he walked away. Hinata touched her heart through her shirt as she watched him go, the world shifting round her. It was beautiful to be in love. 2 months later, late March. They were crowding the street. Jealous, ugly girls with a bone to pick with Hinata Hyuga. How dare she monopolize all the time there was to spend with Naruto? Honestly, he was one of the most eligible men in Konoha. They'd been watching her patiently for months, waiting for him to make a move, but Naruto was either unaware or uninterested in the obviously desperate girl that followed him around. Disgusting. Fujiwara was done. If she couldn't have Naruto, then no one, especially that diddling mess of a girl could. Honestly, once that Haruno had finally left, she'd thought that she and some of the other equally irked single women might have a chance, but no. It didn't matter though, thought, casually twirling a piece of long chestnut hair. Her hawkish eyes watched, set in an icy glare as the two chatted on the other side of the street, Hinata innocently inspecting fruit and placing it in a netted bag she used to see Naruto carrying for himself. Thinking he was all hers. Yum's eyes narrowed. She'd show that Hyuga she was twice the woman, any day. Nana-chan. Do you see how that Hyuga girl is wearing her hair? So outdated. Hi. Naruto probably thinks it's ugly, but is too nice to tell her. Hinata felt her hand pause on her fruit. She could see, out of the corner of her eye, the two girls leaning in, talking in their harsh, easily heard whispers nearby. She blinked, took a breath and continued feeling peaches for Naruto. He always had this knack for picking bad fruit, and after watching him pick the worst ones time after time, Hinata, for the sake of his health, had finally taken the small matter into her own hands. Besides, when Naruto wasn't concentrating on fruit, he had more time to tell her things. About his days, about his training, dashes of how he was feeling now and then. Even the occasional update on Sakura or his progress with Tsunade. Do you think he's just keeping her around out of pity? It must be because he's too nice to admit he doesn't even think of her that way. What way? Like a girl. Like a woman. Yum watched in satisfaction as Hinata stopped feeling fruit again, this time keeping her eye securely downcast. She knew how the girl worked. Be subtle, intelligent, bring up points that could be plausible, things that could possibly be true, and boom. You were inside her head as easily as if she'd let you in. Hinata's poor self-esteem only made it easier and more fun to head straight for the tea. He probably thinks her a burden or something. A bother, or maybe he just thinks of her as a pet. Something he can keep around for fun. But what would that do to his image? If he wants to be Hokage, and all this time he's sacrificing how he really feels. It must be so troublesome. Well, if Naruto is serious about being Hokage, or as serious as he says, then there's no room for a weak, poor-mannered puppy dog on a short leash, now is there? Who in their right mind would want? Hi. Poor Naruto-kun. Hinata felt her heart slide into her stomach. She wouldn't deny it. She'd been thinking about it for much too long to deny it. What if she really was a bother? Sure, he asked her to come along, but if he needed to, would Naruto really have the guts to tell her she was not right? Her hand tightened momentarily. No, of course not. Naruto would never be able to tell her. He probably didn't even realize, but she wasn't she? Or maybe those girls were right. Maybe, all this time, Naruto had been holding back how he really felt, all because of her. She was a detriment. She didn't want to be that, to be baggage. She swallowed stiffly. But what if he should find that maybe? Her heart raced. No, she couldn't tell him that. What if he got angry with her? Told her she wasn't right? Hinata didn't know if she could do that, and the basic idea of causing Naruto any kind of mental anguish already had her head spinning. Hinata could think of a million reasons. Hell, she could stand over there and converse with those girls right now if she had the courage to. Which she didn't. She never did. Not even with Naruto, there. She wasn't cute like Sakura or Tenten. She wasn't absorbed in work like they were either. She was the oddball. He'd even told her she was weird, hadn't he? She wasn't flirty like Ino or Yum or the countless number of girls. She didn't go to parties, or drink often. She spent most of her time trying to fulfill the wishes of her father. And up until now her only personal happiness was Naruto. Naruto. He brought light into the world, lit it on fire. Made her laugh, made her smile, and made her feel alive. He made her so happy. But at what expense might that come? She wasn't strong enough to be beside him. No, those girls were right. She didn't deserve it, and she had been selfish and bound by the happiness that he gave her. She wasn't right for him, and Hinata knew she never would be. And in those moments Hinata felt as though a brick had dropped on her. Because it hurt. It hurt more than any rejection. Any fall or any failure. It hurt so much she couldn't even scarcely breathe, or even see due to the tears. She'd built a beautiful house of cards these past months, but with one tiny stream of words, they'd all come floating, tearing down. In the end, it had only been a house of cards after all. She was stupid. So stupid and silly, and maybe her father had been right. She had fallen for him, finally. Fallen completely and utterly, and it had all been much, much too late. She hadn't even noticed until now just how deep she was in. So deep, she'd never get back out. And it froze her heart for a moment to come to the point where she understood that Naruto would probably never know, and if he did, he would never be as happy with her as someone else. And her selfishness was going to hurt him in the end. To have your heart broken, to realize that there is nothing you can do to stop the pain of loving someone without them ever being able to love you back, and even if they did, to never be truly as happy with you, is something you can't hide easily. And Naruto noticed. Hinata became instantly aware of the hand on her forearm, and the sight of Naruto looking down, concerned, made her heart thump wildly. I'm fine, she yelped, jerking her arm away from him, sending herself spinning backwards. I'm fine, so, she couldn't finish very well, stuttering a mess, her dark hair shielding her eyes as she thrust the fruit into Naruto's arms. Hina-chan, are you okay? He still felt the shock of her arm tearing away from his GS, watching as she tripped over herself, turning to get lost in the market goers. He cursed, craning his head before dropping the fruit and running after her. Hey, Yum-chan. What just happened? Yum looked on as the blonde young man took off into the crowd. I don't know. Hinata, he yelled, and Hinata stopped running, all too aware that he had caught up with her. Shielding her face with the crook of her arm, she looked away from him, feeling as his arm snagged her jacket, pulling her off towards an alley, away from the bustle of the street. When they'd reached the shade of the buildings, Hinata found herself being pushed in front of him, his rough hands grasping her shoulders. What's the matter? Why on earth are you crying? Naruto's eyes searched her all over for any sign of injury, but he found none, only her arm still hiding her face. With a sigh he started prying it down, away from her eyes. Hinata, why did you run like that? He asked, gently lifting her head. She sucked in a stuttered breath, but didn't speak. Come on, Hina, honestly. You can tell me anything. Was it something I did, or said? What can I do, please? He begged, stooping down a little, to get her attention. She looked away. There isn't anything you could do, Naruto. She whispered, staring at the ground. Naruto drew back, a frown etched on his features. You won't know till I try, and I can't try until you tell me what the hell is the matter. He stated, still firmly holding her shoulder and arm to keep her from making a break for it. His face softened at her distress. Hinata, you always listen to me. Let me listen to you too, please. I want to help you, whatever that whole thing was. Hinata looked up at him, eyes swimming. Why? She said quietly, watching the confusion spread over his features. What do you mean why? He replied, still staring at her. Why? Why me? Her murmur was almost desperate as he peered down into her snowy face. I don't know why, he said finally, the pause hanging between them about to break in on itself. Her face took a look of deep regret and she put a hand to her mouth, turning away. His grip on her shoulders tightened. But it's been bothering me, you know. He continued, making her squeeze her eyes shut, tears leaking out. I don't know why, Hinata. I don't know why I always feel like the only place I can be right now is with you. I don't get it at all. You're constantly in my head, and no matter how I try, it all comes back to you. No it doesn't. It doesn't, Naruto. She protested, shaking her head. Sakura will be back in a few weeks. And Sasuke. She started trembling under his fingers and Naruto shook his head too, only his was trying to get his point across. No, Hinata, it isn't. God. He finally laughed, letting go of her to lean against the brick wall, rubbing his face with a dark hand. I wish it were that simple. He said weakly, folding the other arm across his chest. Hinata opened her eyes and looked at him, a picture of troubles. Naruto, if I left would you find me? She suddenly asked, the words tumbling off of her tongue. If I left, L like Sasuke? Would you look for me? Would you follow me? Naruto let his eyes open in disbelief. What was she implying? Of course. I'd follow you to the ends of the earth. And I bet you'd be twice as hard to find. What are you even talking about? You're not planning on leaving, are you? He said, and for a split second she laughed through her tears. No, Naruto. I just wanted to know why. Her eyes, now a bit drier, a bit more slay, looked up into his as she heaved a breath. I would never leave you, Naruto-kun. Never. She smiled a bit more. This is so odd. I thought I could just let you go, but now I can't. Hinata. She shook her head, rubbing her eyes. You still don't get it, do you? She said, her voice a little weaker than before, a little more exasperated. She stopped rubbing her eyes and looked straight up at Naruto, her face all pink from crying, and swallowed. You still don't understand just how much I love you. Naruto was struck dumb. He found himself sinking back into the stone wall as he stared at her. His hands were shaking. Why were his hands shaking? Why you love me? He questioned, his voice breaking at the end bit. Hinata blinked and nodded. For a very, very long time. What? Why? How? He asked again, his hands falling loosely to his sides. How could you love me? I mean, I'm nothing but trouble, and I definitely don't know how to treat girls right. He rambled, eyes wide as dinner plates. I'm a regular mess, really. I haven't got a clue what I'm even doing half the time. Sakura says, and you know how I can't do anything right. The watery smile that lit up Hinata's face was enough to get him to stop, though, too fascinated with her to keep going. This is very simple, Naruto-kun. She said, so quiet he had to really stop and listen to every word. You make me happy. Naruto had more than enough friends. He had met people from all over the shinobi world, he had grown close enough to some to call them brothers even, but never, in all his life, had Naruto ever been told that he made someone happy. And he meant Naruto. Just plain old, messed up, klutzy, knuckleheaded, stupid most of the time, totally out of the loop Naruto. No training, no self-examination, no nothing, zip, nada, zilch. He didn't even have to work at it. He made Hinata Hyuga happy. He made her happy, as in, according to the dictionary, to be delighted, pleased or glad over a particular thing or person. And that person, by God, was him. Naruto Uzumaki. Not Naruto the teammate, not Naruto the future Hokage, and not just Naruto the shinobi. Just, plain old Naruto, with all that stuff included. Me. Yes. Naruto couldn't keep the smile off of his face as everything slowly clicked into place. So that's what it is, he said simply, staring at the girl in front of him. The girl, the prettiest thing he would ever remember seeing, the one who was so quiet and cute. The one who twirled her hair, the one who daydreamed, the one who took pictures and planted gardens and quite honestly kicked ass. The one who listened and was bright, and the one who had a strange taste for candy. The one who thought thunderclouds were pretty, the one who was patient, and kind, and so willing. This girl, this being. Not Sakura, not Sasuke, not Kakashi. Not that they didn't hold special places in his heart either, because they did, but Hinata. Hinata did something none of them could ever do so well. What is it? She asked, looking both concerned, but also ultimately relieved. Like a million weights had finally lifted away from her chest. Naruto smiled and took a step towards her, his blue eyes lit up like sparks in the dim light of the alley. You make me happy too. To this day, Hinata doesn't know what it was. Probably the charge in her heart as she stared up at the one person she'd ever found herself loving. She didn't know why, but she did. Hinata Hyuga, the shy one, the oddball, the girl who hadn't so much as touched Naruto, threw her arms around his neck and kissed him with all she had. Because, she figured, it would make both of them happy. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.